What's up, Facebook? Y'all, this has been on my heart, so I gotta share it with you. And I know I'm always in a sweatshirt. It's the fall because it's cold. Okay, if you're in Atlanta, you're probably not gonna say this is cold, but it's cold to me. So I'm gonna rock a sweatshirt. It's either gonna be this one or probably two of my other ones, but that's not why I'm here. Wanted to talk to you about tweens. Raise your hand. Give me a thumbs up if you have a tweenager. Not quite a teenager, but not a little kid anymore. It's a scary world. Hello, Sabrina. Okay, so I'm going to just share a story with you. This happened, gosh, Brooks, who is now 6, if you know Brooksy, how did he get 6? Like, that's crazy. But back when he was a newborn, I went to a Moms and More class at our church. And so that was back in 2010. I had a 4-year-old, I had a newborn. I was just in that, like, sweet spot kind of, but I'd left my job. And I remember going to this Moms and More. It was a great way for moms to connect and just be encouraged and kind of delight in motherhood and be focused on that. And there was a speaker at church, Carol Pope. She's actually the pastor's wife, but she gave this talk and she gave this analogy, and I was like, oh, this is great. She said that when your child is born, you're holding this big ball of yarn, and it's your job as a mom to give them a little bit of yarn, which is like independence, right? You give them a little bit of yarn, you're teaching them in your ways, and you're fighting against culture, but you're giving them some yarn, and they're growing and they're developing, and you're holding the ball of yarn, especially when they're kids. And it's kind of like encouraging them to wear a helmet when they're on a bike, or having them take their vitamins, all those kind of things. You're encouraging them, you're giving, slowly they gain independence, okay? It is an awesome, and when I heard that, I was like, that is so sweet. I'm gonna do that so well. I'm just gonna give out some yarn. Piece of cake, right? Piece of cake. And I was so wrong. I was so wrong because over time I got a little complacent about the yarn. I put the yarn down for a while. I might let the TV give out some yarn. I might let friends give out a little bit of yarn. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, their influence was not necessarily me. And we're going to fast forward. We're not in a sweet spot anymore. We have a 10-year-old going on about 15. Again, give me a thumbs up if you hear what I'm saying. He is fighting for independence and his own thoughts and against the grain. And I feel like he has the ball of yarn, and I am trying to pull it back in with all my might. I am like trying to reel that, I almost used a curse word, back in, right? I want control. I want it to be on my terms, and it's not on my terms. This independence thing is crazy. It's killing me, and I still love him. But I had an aha yesterday as I was swinging with my 6-year-old. He's not out here right now. But here we are, and if you know Brooks, you're going to understand this, but we do a thing called hug swing, where I sit down on the swing, and then he's sitting on top of me, facing me, and I'm hugging him as we're swinging back and forth. Of course, he's no clothes. He has on his underwear. Y'all know Brooks, so he's like barely dressed. And it's the sweetest thing, and my heart is full, and I am just reveling in the joy of that moment. It is amazing. And I realized I gravitate towards him. That's the truth. I tried to believe that I don't have parent favorites with my children, but right now in this season, I'm totally gravitating towards him. He is my light. He's still that sweet little innocent boy that I can control a little bit, and I can influence a little bit, and I can pour into a little bit. And my tweenager is like going. He's not gone, but he's going. And then it hit me yesterday. I remember when I was 13 years old. Okay, we all were 13. If you're watching this, you were 13 at some point, because I don't have any 13-year-old Facebook friends. But I distinctly remember that age of being 13. And I came home one day and I was like, oh my, I know more than my parents. They are dumb. They are just like, what? And the point being, there was a switch that flipped. And my mom told me this. She said, I will always love you, but I do not like you right now. That's how I feel, and I feel horrible that I feel that way about my own child. But here's the takeaway, and this is the encouragement for y'all. If you have a tweenager, a teenager, somewhere in between, maybe you have little babies, this time will come. And I would encourage you to think about two things. I made a post about happiness and joy, I don't know, last week or something. I've been really digging into that and what God would have for me in this. And ironically enough, I'm in a leadership class through Revelation Wellness, and we've been pounding in about joy, just digging into the word about joy. But the aha for me was that happiness, feeling happy, is dependent on circumstance. stuff we can't control. Ever, never, never. We can't control that circumstance. Stuff's going to come at us. We're going to suffer in life. We're going to stumble and fall. We can pick ourselves up, but it's our response to that. But we don't control happiness, man. Do you ever feel like, here's a great example. We talk about fitness all the time on my page, but you're having a great day, you step on a scale, and then you're like, oh, it's not what I wanted to see. My day sucks. It's the same thing with your kids. Happiness is circumstantial. It fades. It blows like the wind, right? It can change in an instant. And I realized that my heart was kind of hardened towards my teenager, that I was not happy because of the way he was behaving, the way he was responding to me. We can argue that that's a little bit of my fault for not training him the right way, but here's the thing. I can still see joy. I can choose joy in parenting a teenager. So my amnesia of what I was like at 13, I'd totally forgotten that. It's kind of like childbirth, like those pains in childbirth. I'd forgotten that. Think about that for a minute. I was the same way. He is a mirror to me. But here's what I can do as a believer and somebody who's thinking through these things and wrestling through these things just like you are. You're probably like, well, they're driving me crazy, but you can choose joy. That is a choice that we make. And I just want to encourage you to find that. Celebrate this season, because what we can do to find the joy is not focus on the now, it's to focus on the future, what they will be. Okay, it's kind of like if you are a believer and we focus on all the suffering that Jesus went through, he wasn't looking at that. He was looking past the cross into heaven. I feel like that with my teenager. I cannot focus on this behavior. Yes, I can lead, I can mentor, I can admonish and correct and encourage, and be on him and shepherd him and dig in with him and be in the pit with him sometimes and listen. But I can also look at the man that he's created to be, who he was made to be in God's image, celebrate that and look for that, right? Because that's where the joy is. The joy is not when he is mouthing off to me. Y'all, if you had been on my patio yesterday, I might have gotten out the spanky spoon. I didn't. I restrained myself. But I'm challenging myself, I'm challenging you to be encouraged. It's a season. It goes so quickly, man. I feel like I was just in Moms and More like yesterday, and it's been years, but it's a season. Find the joy. And here's the other part. If you don't have joy-filled people in your life, the ones that just radiate, maybe not all the time, we all have bad days, but people who are encouraging, who can find those little nuggets, I call them sprouts, that we can celebrate, get surrounded by people who find joy, who are happy, who are looking for the bigger and the better and digging deep into that. And if you don't have those people, let's talk more, okay? I want to be that. High five. We'll be friends. I know we're friends already, but y'all have a great day. Go find some joy and don't kill your teenager. That's my order.